Most people think July is too late to start a garden. They packed away their seeds in June, told themselves they missed the window, and now they're watching their neighbor pull fresh tomatoes out of the ground wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's what nobody tells you. July is not the end of your garden season. For the right vegetables, July is actually the beginning. And if you plant what I'm about to show you today, you will be harvesting fresh food well into fall, maybe even longer, while everyone else is just watching dry leaves fall. 15 vegetables. 1 month. And your garden is about to become the most productive it has ever been. Stay with me until the very end, because number 11 is the one most beginner gardeners over 60 completely overlook, and it might just be the easiest thing you ever grow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new here, I am so glad you found this channel. This is Evergreen Garden Tips, the place where we keep gardening simple, affordable, and genuinely enjoyable, especially if you are past 60 and you want a garden that works with your body and your budget, not against it. And to my returning viewers, oh my goodness, thank you. Every comment, every story you share about your gardens in the comment section, it truly makes this community something special. I read every single one. Now before we get into these 15 vegetables, do me a small favor. If you haven't subscribed yet, tap that subscribe button right now and ring the bell. This channel is growing fast and I would hate for you to miss what's coming next. And if this kind of content helps you, a like on this video tells YouTube to share it with more gardeners just like you, and that means the world to this channel. Alright. Let's get your July garden started. Now I want you to picture something with me for just a moment. It is a warm July morning. The sun is not too high yet. You step outside with your coffee, and right there, just a few feet from your back door, you see rows of green pushing up through the soil. Things you planted. Things that are growing. Things that will feed you. That image is not a dream. That is exactly what July planting can do for you. So let us go through these 15 vegetables one by one, and I promise to keep it simple, practical, and worth every second of your time. Vegetable number 1, bush beans. Let us start with something that almost feels like cheating, because bush beans grow so fast it almost does not seem real. Unlike the climbing kind that needs poles and trellises and all that extra work, bush beans stay low, stay compact, and ask almost nothing from you. You press the seed about an inch into the ground, water it, and roughly 50 days later, you are snapping fresh beans right off the plant. For anyone who finds bending or kneeling difficult, bush beans are a wonderful choice for raised beds too. You can tend to them standing up, which saves your knees and your back. July heat? Bush beans absolutely love it. Vegetable number 2, cucumbers. Here is something a lot of people do not know. Cucumbers planted in early to mid-July often outperform the ones planted in spring. Why? Because by July the soil is already deeply warm, and cucumbers are warm soil lovers through and through. Cold spring soil slows them down. July soil? It wakes them right up. You can grow them along a small fence or even just let them sprawl on the ground if space allows. Within about 55 to 60 days, you will have more cucumbers than you know what to do with, which is honestly a wonderful problem to have. Vegetable number 3, summer squash. If you have never grown summer squash before, this is your sign to start. This plant is almost aggressively generous. You plant it once and it just keeps giving and giving. Zucchini is the most popular variety, but yellow squash is just as easy and honestly a little more forgiving in hot weather. Both grow quickly in July, and both can go from seed to your dinner plate in under 60 days. One tip? Do not plant too many. Seriously. 2 or 3 plants will feed an entire household. I have seen people plant 10 and end up leaving bags of squash on their neighbor's porch because they simply could not keep up. Vegetable number 4, kale. Now this one surprises people every single time I bring it up. Kale in July? Yes. Absolutely yes. Here is the thing about kale that most gardening content never explains properly. Kale that grows through summer heat and then gets touched by the first cool nights of early fall actually becomes sweeter. The cold triggers something in the leaf that softens that bitter edge people sometimes complain about. So by planting in July, you are setting yourself up for the best tasting kale of the entire year, right when October and November roll around. It is almost like the garden is doing the seasoning for you. Vegetable number 5, radishes. Radishes are the garden's best kept secret for impatient beginners, and I say that with full love and respect. From seed to harvest in as little as 25 days. That is not a typo. 3.5 weeks and you are pulling food out of the ground. They take up almost no space. They cost almost nothing to plant. And they are wonderful for loosening up compacted soil, which actually helps everything else growing nearby. If you have never experienced that particular joy of pulling something out of the earth that you grew yourself, start with radishes. They will make you feel like the most capable gardener alive. Vegetable number 6, carrots. Carrots are a July gem, and here is exactly why. Carrots planted in July grow through the cooling weeks of late summer and fall, and just like kale, that temperature drop works in your favor. Cooler soil causes the carrot to convert its starches into sugars, and the result is a carrot so naturally sweet it barely needs anything done to it. The one thing carrots do ask for is loose, deep soil with no rocks or hard clumps in the way. If your garden soil is heavy or clay-like, a raised bed works beautifully here. Loose soil means straight, happy, full-sized carrots. Vegetable number 7, spinach. Spinach is a cool weather vegetable, which means planting it in late July sets it up perfectly to thrive right through September and October. It grows quickly. It is packed with nutrition. And it is one of the most low-maintenance plants you can put in the ground. The beauty of late July spinach is that it mostly avoids the pests and diseases that tend to bother it in spring. By the time it is big enough to be tempting to insects, the weather is already cooling down and most of those pests have moved on. Fresh spinach from your own garden, straight into a pan with a little olive oil and garlic. There is nothing better. We are about halfway through and I just want to check in. Are you taking notes? Because these next ones are where things get really interesting. And remember, I promised you number 11 would surprise you, so stay right there with me. And hey, real quick. If you are watching this and you are finding it helpful, would you do me a favor and drop a comment below? Just tell me which vegetable you are most excited to plant this July. I read every single comment and I genuinely love hearing from this community. And if you have not liked this video yet, now is a great time. It helps more gardeners over 60 find this channel, and that is exactly who we are here for. Let us keep going. Vegetable number 8, green onions. Green onions, also called scallions, are one of those vegetables that quietly earn their place in every garden. They grow in tight clusters, take up almost no room, and can be harvested gradually, meaning you do not pull the whole plant at once. You snip what you need from the top and the plant just keeps regrowing. It is almost like having a renewable kitchen resource right outside your door. July is perfect for them because they actually prefer to finish their growth in slightly cooler fall temperatures. Plant them now and you will be adding fresh green onion to soups, salads, and eggs all the way into November. Vegetable number 9, beets. Beets are doing double duty in your garden, and that is exactly why they deserve a spot on this list. You get 2 harvests from one plant. The beet root itself, which is sweet, earthy, and incredibly nutritious, and the beet greens on top, which you can cook exactly like spinach or Swiss chard. Beets prefer to develop in cooler soil, so a July planting is actually ideal. They will spend the warm weeks getting established and then hit their stride right as temperatures begin to drop in September and October. For anyone watching their grocery budget, beets are of extraordinary value. 1 packet of seeds, 2 entirely different vegetables, and months of harvesting. Vegetable number 10, lettuce. Lettuce in July works best when you treat it a little like a pampered houseguest. It wants warmth to get started, but it does not want to feel scorched. The trick here is simple. Plant it somewhere that gets morning sun but is shaded a little in the afternoon. Under a taller plant, along the edge of a fence, or even in a container that you can move around. That light afternoon shade keeps the lettuce from bolting, which is when it shoots up and turns bitter, and instead it just grows steadily and beautifully. By late August and September, you will have the freshest salad greens imaginable, and they will cost you almost nothing to grow. Vegetable number 11, turnips. Here it is. The one I promised you. Turnips. Now before you scroll away, just give me 30 seconds, because I think turnips might genuinely change how you think about fall gardening. Turnips grow incredibly fast. About 6 weeks from seed to harvest. They thrive in the exact conditions July through October provides. And just like beets, you get two vegetables in one. The round root, which can be roasted, mashed, or added to soups, and the leafy tops, which are tender, flavorful, and absolutely wonderful cooked with a little butter and seasoning. They are cheap to grow. They are forgiving to beginners. They are deeply nutritious. And almost nobody is growing them, which means you are going to be the person in your neighborhood with the most productive fall garden on the street. Plant the turnips. Trust me on this one. Vegetable number 12, Swiss chard. Swiss chard might just be the most visually beautiful vegetable you can grow, and July is one of the best times to put it in the ground. It handles heat better than most leafy greens. It keeps producing leaves all season long, so you never harvest the whole plant at once. And as temperatures cool into fall, it actually gets more tender and flavorful. The colorful stems, bright red, golden yellow, deep green, also mean your garden looks absolutely gorgeous from a distance. Practical and beautiful. That is a winning combination in any garden. Vegetable number 13, pole beans. Earlier we talked about bush beans and how low maintenance they are. Pole beans are their climbing cousin, and they bring something slightly different to the table. They grow upward, which means they take up very little ground space. A small patch of soil, 3 or 4 simple stakes, and some twine is all you need. They climb naturally and actually look lovely doing it. Pole beans also tend to produce over a longer period than bush beans, so if you want a steady supply rather than one big harvest all at once, pole beans are the better choice. Planted in early to mid-July, they will keep producing well into September. Vegetable number 14, peas. This one surprises people every July and I love watching it happen. Most gardeners think of peas as a spring vegetable, and they are right, peas do love spring. But they also love the late summer into fall window, which is exactly what a July planting gives them. The key is to get them in the ground early enough in July that they finish growing before the first hard frost. In most regions, that works out just fine. Fresh peas picked straight from the vine are one of the sweetest, most satisfying things a garden can offer. And there is something about growing something most people would not even think to plant in July that makes the harvest feel even more rewarding. Vegetable number 15, arugula. We are finishing strong with one of the most underrated greens in the entire gardening world. Arugula grows remarkably fast. You can start picking leaves in as little as 4 weeks. It has a distinct peppery flavor that makes every salad, every sandwich, and every pasta dish taste like something from a restaurant kitchen. It grows happily in containers, raised beds, or directly in the ground. It needs very little space and very little attention. And planted in July, it produces generously right through the coolest and most comfortable gardening months of the year. If you have never grown arugula before, this is your July. Start with just a small patch and I promise you will be expanding it next season. And there you have it. 15 vegetables that prove July is not too late. It is actually right on time. Bush beans, cucumbers, summer squash, kale, radishes, carrots, spinach, green onions, beets, lettuce, turnips, Swiss chard, pole beans, peas, and arugula. These are not complicated. They do not require expensive tools or perfect conditions. They just need you to get started. And starting is always the hardest part, but you are already here, which tells me you are the kind of gardener who is serious about making this work. Before I let you go, I want to say something genuinely. This community, the people who show up here every week to learn something new, to try something in their gardens, to share what worked and what did not, you are the reason this channel exists. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like. It takes 1 second and it helps this channel reach more gardeners who need exactly this kind of simple, honest advice. Subscribe if you have not already, because next week we are talking about something that every gardener over 60 needs to hear before the fall season hits, and you do not want to miss it. And leave me a comment. Tell me which of these 15 vegetables you are planting first. Or if you are already growing one of them, tell me how it is going. I will be right there in the comments reading every single one. Until next time, keep your hands in the soil, keep it simple, and keep growing.